The Madison Board of Education to order, and our first piece of business is the pledge, the flag. Lisa is going to display that. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Apparently we had a friendly dog wanting to say the pledge with us. At this time, Robin, roll call, please.
Sure. Mrs. Melissa Walker?
Here.
Mr. Mosier?
Here.
Mrs. McGinney?
Here.
Mrs. Amy Walker? Ms. Amy Walker, I apologize.
That's okay. Here.
Mr. Wigton?
Here. At this time, we need to adopt the agenda. I'll take a motion.
I'll move.
A second. Discussion.
Who second?
Jane.
Jane, thank you.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Amy Walker? Sorry, Ms. Amy Walker? Mrs.
Four.
McGinney?
4.
Mrs. Melissa Walker?
4.
Mr. Mosier?
4.
And Mr. Wigton?
4. At this time, we need approval of our virtual meeting resolution. I need a motion for that.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Mrs. McGinney?
4.
Mrs. Melissa Walker?
4.
Mr. Mosier?
4.
Ms. Amy Walker?
4.
And Mr. Wigton?
4. We need approval of our previous board minute meetings that were sent out to you today. A motion for that, please.
I motion. I'll second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mrs. Melissa Walker?
4.
Ms. Amy Walker?
4.
Mrs. McGinney?
4.
Mr. Mosier?
4.
Mr. Wigton?
4. We have no presentation of certificates nor recognition of visitors tonight. Moving on to committee reports. Anything from our legislative committee?
No report.
Thank you. Nothing from the Athletic Board of Control, I believe.
Tim,
Yes.
this has been 6 months, but there should be something set up for that so we can meet and discuss at least the fall sports before January meeting to report something out. It would be nice.
Okay. We'll address that with Mr. Peterson then to organize that before then.
Yeah, Mr. Rickard and I have spoken. That'll be ready for January. We also need to do the spring sports, even though they didn't happen. We need to do a report for that as well, so that those two will be combined.
Okay. Next would be our student representative comments, and I believe we have a taped presentation from Cammie Baker for that.
Yes, I will get started on that.
Hi guys, so I'm coming to you remotely this time, just with my family and also you guys are all safe. So obviously I've been school for 6 weeks, so I'm just need to run down of what I know and what I kind of still up in the air. So talking about sports, girls basketball have played a couple of games, and also boys basketball have played a couple of games, but I think, if I'm not mistaken, they have both been in quarantine, but they are coming out of quarantine and getting back to practice, so that's really good for them. Swimming, last I talked to them, have had 2 meets, and the boys and the girls both won one of them, so that was really cool. And wrestling, they haven't wrestled yet, they're hoping to wrestle this weekend. staying positive for that. As well as others with social concern, Mary Madison Christmas is a huge thing that we always do every year. And because of COVID, we haven't had a lot of fundraisers or anything, so a lot of clubs haven't been able to make money to do Mary Madison Christmas, but there's still a lot of clubs that are. So NHS has adopted a family, and I actually went shopping for them the other day. It was really fun. And they're also doing a canned food drive, and that's really cool because we've had a lot of kids donate canned food that we're going to give to the family. Also, leadership had a blood drive, and student council is collecting 4 cans, teachers baked cookies. It's a really, really fun experience. Hoping that we can still make Christmas a fun and exciting thing for families who can't necessarily afford it or don't have the means to have a great Christmas too. And lastly, as far as remote learning is concerned, some teachers have been doing daily Zooms or live teaching to make sure that their students are still getting the experience that they would if they were in class. And of course, exams have been pushed back just because of the spike in cases. We are currently remote to the 8th, but we're hoping that we get to come back soon because it's really getting hard to be online school. I really miss my teachers as well as everyone else that I've talked to has. Yes, I don't think I have anything else to add. I know I won't see you guys again before Christmas, so I hope you guys all have a very Merry Christmas and enjoy the time with your family. Thank you again for letting me speak. Have a good one.
Okay, thank you. At this time, we move on to facilities report. Mr. Christ?
Thank you. Just a couple things to report. First of all, the big thing we got accomplished was the auction of the contents, and that's all done. Everything got picked up, and we grossed $39,000 for that. That combined with the building sale means between the two auctions, we grossed $81,000. Then the next event on our schedule, as far as Jesse Beer goes, is the closing for the building, and that's tentatively scheduled for January the 11th. After that, the new owner will take possession, and we should be vested of that property completely at that point. Everything that happened with the auctions went really smoothly. I think we did a good job as far as having it virtual. It seemed to go off without a hitch, and actually the auctioneer even said a lot of the things brought more income than what he'd normally see. So it was successful all around, I think. Other than that, around the district, everything's going well. We're getting a lot of painting done, doing some extra projects. All the principals are working with their staff to get extra stuff done, getting caught up on everything. Lincoln Heights is going well. That's the only building that's, staffed and still has all the kids there, and everything's going good there. Looking forward a little bit, something on the radar is next year there'll be a grant offered through the U.S. Department of Energy that we're looking into, and if possible, it would give us a chance to do some boiler updates in the district, and we're getting that information together, kind of targeting what boilers we'd want to, the oldest boilers that we'd want to get replaced, and make use of that grant money. That's all I have. Unless there's any questions.
Oh, that's awesome about the auction and where that ended up.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Next, we have board policy.
Nothing, right, Amy?
Yeah, nothing new.
Okay. Student achievement.
I just have one thing that I wanted to tell you guys about. I don't know if you get the same things as I get or not, but it comes from OSBA, and tomorrow at 2 o'clock, they're having a free seminar, like Zoom, whatever you call it. I don't know. It's on the computer. And it's all about sports. It talks about the insight on how sports are impacting our students physically, mentally, and emotionally, and to gain ideas for how to support students on these ever-changing times, and also how the COVID-19 has impacted the sports. So Doug, especially, you might want to get some ideas from that too, okay? But it's at 2 o'clock tomorrow. It's from OSBA.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, Jane. Superintendent's update.
I have several items to report on. First of all, I'll kind of piggyback on some of Cammie's comments. The end of the first semester is coming up next Tuesday, and we will continue on remote learning through the break, and then on the backside of the break through Friday, January 8th. We all have our fingers crossed with the hope that we can bring students back face to face on January 11th. Many of you may have noticed that the CDC came out with some new options for the quarantine period for close contacts. And as a district, at this time, we will continue to use the 14-day period. And just to give you an explanation on the 10-day period, if we were to use that at the end of the 10 days and a student would come back on days 11 through 14, they would be required to maintain social distance of 6 feet and also wear a mask at all times. And neither of those are possible at all times currently. While we do have some classrooms where there is 6 feet of social distancing, nowhere near all of our classrooms set up for that. And then we also have mask breaks, and obviously students would have their masks off while they ate lunch. So it's just not feasible to reduce it down to that 10-day option that's been provided. So we're going to stick with the 14 days at this time. Athletics, just want to announce again, we are very hopeful that Thursday the governor we will be designated back to a red county. And if that happens, we will go back to competition just as we were doing them prior to moving to purple. If we do stay in purple, we are going to make an adjustment to our current plan, and we will be allowing competitions effective Friday with no spectators if we are still in purple. But if we are in red, we will obviously return to competition, and limited spectators will be available just like we were doing prior to moving to purple. Have an exciting item to report about Taylor Huff, who has led our girls soccer team to a state championship. She was named as a 4-time All-American by the United Soccer Coaches Association, but not only was she named All-American, but she was named the National Player of the Year this year.
Wow.
That is quite an honor to be named the outstanding player in the entire United States.
That's great.
That is. Also, Cammie mentioned Mary Madison Christmas, and I would like to publicly thank Tracy Burden and Holly North, who spearheaded Mary Madison Christmas, where we were able to provide for 11 Madison families gifts, gift cards, groceries, cookies, gloves, and stocking caps, and some other things. But Tracy and Holly did a great job, and I'd also like to thank everybody else who participated in helping out with that. I know our staff, our teachers, and our classified staff also contributed greatly to that, and several students and student groups as well. Unfortunately, being in remote learning, the student contribution wasn't what it normally is. We also had some community members who are not associated with the schools, but graduates of Madison who have participated when they were students here and have continued to participate even in their adult lives, and contributed monetary, some money, as well as some items as well. So that's just a great program, and shows what a Madison family that we have in supporting other families in our district. So just really like to thank everybody that contributed to that. It's greatly appreciated. And that concludes my updates.
Hey, thank you for that. Next, Jonathan, you have an update for us from your building.
I do. Good evening. Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen right now, and hopefully everybody can see the PowerPoint that we're going to produce here at this point. Can everybody see that?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yep.
Well, yeah, as you can probably see from my background, I'm reporting from the basement of the middle school here. It's a little bit quieter and uninterrupted down here. Excuse me.
I didn't know there was a basement.
I didn't either.
Well, it's a secret room that only few of us privileged people know about. So
That's right. That's right.
So we got to keep that a secret. But in any case, we've had a great start to the year here at the middle school. There are certainly a lot of challenges that we had to overcome with COVID, but I'm happy to share that the beginning of the year and the transition was as good as I could have asked for. And I was very pleased, and that's due to the great staff and the cooperation we have with students and parents too as well. Kind of give you an update here on our enrollment. And this is from the fall 2014 till now. Our enrollment, as you can see here, I'm going to try to highlight with my mouse as we go through this. 2020, we're at 869 students. So we came down from where we were last year of 973. Currently, we are with 649 students in person and 220 through the online academy. As we go into next semester with the students who are in person, who are going to the online academy, and those in the online academy who are coming to us in person, after everything's awash and completed, we'll be gaining about 65 students in person at the middle school. So which we're happy about, because the best place for students, of course, is to be in a school building during the school day. So we're happy that we're able to bring some of those students back as a totality of what those students are going to online as well. So that is an update on enrollment, and the graph kind of shows you up and down where we've been. Our lowest before the school year was at 898 students. So we came down to 869, and we expect for that to go up as we get through COVID and continue into next school year. Today, and through the slides, I'm going to just highlight a few different things here. We're going to talk about the opening of the school year, some of our building goals, upcoming presentations for students, new RAM Pride program, athletics, some spotlights, and then just to review the communications that we have in place for everyone to know more about what we do at the middle school. So as we began the school year, of course, as I mentioned before, we had a lot of challenges to overcome as we go into the COVID piece. I want to highlight these folks over here, this staff here. The three people at the bottom really aren't that important, but more important, the people up here who are the teachers who came in and volunteered to be part of our reopening committee. And I want to say that, this is just a sample of the great dedication we have of our staff. We have other different committees that people volunteer on, and these were additional staff members who volunteered to be part of this committee, and we had a great cross-section of a couple of people from each grade level in 5 through 8. And then the people on that committee represented not only core subject areas, but elective subject areas, special education. So we had a really good mix. We developed a plan, and what these I highlighted here just to show you, this table is the table of contents. And we have posted this to our website so we could share this with students and parents as well. And we made sure that we were thorough and covered every piece of what we would have to adjust to throughout the building, be it, and of course, making sure that we follow the district reopening plan and complementing all the pieces that were board adopted there too. So whether it be how we addressed classrooms, how we addressed sharing of Chromebooks, how we handled passing times in the hallways, how we handled bathrooms. We really, and this community worked really hard to make sure that we had every T crossed and every I dotted. As we went through those things, what we did then as well, with the first, or one of the first professional development days we had of the school year, is then we had our committee members break down into smaller groups and create skits to help demonstrate those behaviors that we expected of students and how to follow the new procedures that we have in place. Our goal here was not only to have something written for students, but to differentiate our approach just like we would in education and provide a visual piece for students as well. As you can see here, one of the things that we have going for us in the middle school is we put down tape with arrows pointing the direction you go to help students social distance as they go down the halls during passing times. And here you see some students going ahead and sanitizing as they prepare to eat lunch with some of the new sanitation stations we put in. Over in the corner here, just a little trivia, you can see a little photobomb of a special celebrity who tends to walk around the district a lot. To give you a hint, his first name's Steve, his last name's Chris. So he tends to like to see himself in pictures and about. So it was funny that we were able to catch the corner of his glimpse there as he went through the slide. But moving on, we also set some student and staff goals here for the school year through our building leadership team. And as you may know, our BLT is works in conjunction with our district leadership team. And as we found important in establishing goals, we wanted to make sure that we set a standard of excellence that we could not only stretch to meet, but also by which to measure as we went through the school year. We wanted to establish something that, unlike state assessments where you find it at the end of the school year, we wanted to have something that which we could monitor and measure as we went through the school year. So STAR 360 is a universal screener that we use in the district. We use it for ELA and for math. And what we did is we sat down and went through all of the improvements that we had made the past couple of years since the universal screener has been in place, averaged those things out. And by doing so, we set the goal for ourselves that we want to improve by 26 scaled score points when the students are assessed each 9 weeks. And that way we're monitoring our progress, helping prepare for the state assessments at the end of the school year. And if things are not improving by our goals, then we can monitor and provide intervention and adjust as we need to. For math, we chose to improve our building score by 10 scaled points each 9 weeks when students are assessed. So we spent a good amount of time talking through this and how we're going to do that. So again, it was important to set some student achievement goals so we're not, as I would call it, just floating, but we have a standard that we're trying to stretch and all meet. As far as for our staff goal, our district through our district leadership team, one of the goals has been set is to work more in our subgroups and to explore the diversity and get more familiarized with how to support our staff in the diversity that we have in our district. Through our report card, as you may have seen, we have 7 different subgroups on the report card, which are also represented at the middle school. We have 7 different subgroups in the report card at the middle school. And with those subgroups, we, as a BLT, decided that we wanted to focus on Black African American, Hispanic, Latino, and economically disadvantaged, and focus on those subgroups and developing professional capacity in those areas. So what we did today, and I should say previous to today, our BLT, what I have here in front of you, is just a sample of a chart that we put together. And our goal in BLT is to provide a support for our staff that's easy to understand, that supports our staff, and at the same time provides a advocacy item and a resource as we move forward. We don't, as we strive to improve our subgroups and their understanding with that and our understanding diversity. We don't, of course, want to create something as overwhelming or a whole bunch more work for our staff, but yet we want to begin the discussion and start to work through that. So this chart we put together in BLT, this is a result of a couple of articles and also some input, some valuable input from Herb Ross. Herb Ross is a counselor from Family Life Services, and you may know that we have a partnership with Family Life Services that we've developed here in the past school year before this one, and due to the socioeconomic funds, socio-emotional funds, I should say, that were appointed by Governor DeWine that we've been able to use in a great way. So I met with all the different staff in the whole entire building. We went through this chart and reviewed some of the things that maybe we already knew and reviewed some things that maybe we didn't realize about some of the characteristics of the different subgroups, be it Black, African American, Hispanic, Latino, economically disadvantaged. We went through that. We also went through some data, and special thanks to Lisa Gonzalez, who provided our BLT with data on all of the students in the building in terms of what their subgroup is, as well as what their most recent test score was, so that we can start to follow the subgroups with the data and figure out, how we're going to address more the needs of the students and move on from there. We felt, in BLT, it's real important that we don't want teachers to teach any different to a student just because in our subgroup, but we want to make sure that we still continue to deliver education consistently to all students, no matter what their subgroup is. But we want to provide more support for what the interventions and the conversations will look like, so that the students can get from the staff can get from the students what they're looking to get from them and know how to proactively approach that. The follow-up, we also will have some professional development at the February in-service, where we're going to have a panel of people from Family Life Services who will be able to ask some questions and have some interaction with, similar to what we've done as a district with OB Stillwell, but we'll have a panel of people representing some of these different areas that will be able to have some good conversation and ask some of the hard questions that sometimes we want answers to that we can't ask in, say, an open forum, but we can ask with the professionals who are licensed counselors who work with these families. So those are our goals that we have set for staff and students right now for the school year. And this is just talking about the professional development and family life counseling that we'll be partnering with to help provide that follow-up in our professional development for staff, because it's one thing to introduce professional development, but successful professional development is that which is followed up on and revisited and reflected on. And so as we develop these conversations today, we want to follow up on these conversations and provide some support with that down the road. Some other things that we have planned for our students is we have some assemblies that we're planning. This is going to be a virtual assembly with a gentleman named Terrence Talley. His background in the kind of area that he grew up in and diversity he grew up in Minnesota is very similar to what we have here in our community. As you can see, even the diversity in his family is also very similar to the diversity that we have. And he has a heavy focus on mental health. As you can see there at the bottom, not only does he share stories, but he lets students know that they're not alone in their struggles, and he has a very positive message, an uplifting message. Our goal actually was to have this virtual assembly here in December, just before students go to the holidays, because unfortunately, for some families and students, the holidays is the worst time of year. We wanted to get this out to them before then, but of course, as COVID has caused us to have to go to remote, we're going to postpone this for January. So we're excited to provide this support for students and encouragement. The other piece is we get in down the road in February, we have another guest speaker assembly, and he is going to talk about resolving conflict and some of the conflict and challenges that he's had as a child. Beacon is he's a rapper too, so he has a very attractive presentation that really will appeal to the age population that we have. And again, as we plan these assemblies, we plan these as, the goal being to have students at the pinnacle point of their zeal and their motivation for the school year as we go ahead and dive right into state assessments. Because of course, whether we like it or not, how we measure on the report card and how our students test is the way schools are measured in Ohio. So we tend to make sure that we build towards developing capacity in students to perform the best when they get to that state assessment. We also have a very active positive behavior program in our school building, always trying to, and of course, those assemblies, as we showed before, trying to encourage students to do the right thing always. And we also, as we meet every month as a PBS committee, look to try to build on that. And I'm going to have Mr. Turlow is going to talk about this new aspect of our program to help support kids in a positive way.
Looking for another way to build on the positive behaviors of our students and a way to kind of build them up and celebrate the students who are doing the things that are expected and then going above and beyond. This is a program where teachers are going to make a referral on a Google form to the principals, at which point in time during that 9 weeks, each staff member is going to be able to make one referral, and that's teachers, aides, cafeteria staff, custodians, bus drivers, anyone who finds that student who's going above and beyond. Once that referral is made, one of the principals will call the student down, and we want to call home and really build up the student and talk to the parent with the student in the office as well, and just celebrate what they're doing to be a RAM student. And then once we have those names in, we're going to do a weekly drawing where they're going to have a Madison Rams water bottle for one of those students who's received a RAM Pride referral.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Turlow. And again, our goal as we meet every month is to continue to develop the potential in each kid and each student, and reinforce positive behaviors all the time, because that's an important part of the education of students in school and students that we have here at the middle school. As you know, this has been certainly a challenging year for athletics with COVID, and kudos to Mr. Keppel as he's worked tirelessly to make many calls to reschedule things, schedule things, and work things out. And I'm going to have Mr. Keppel talk a little bit about our athletic program at the middle school.
Yes, I was really proud of how fall sports went. We participated in pretty much every cross-country meet we were scheduled for. We successfully completed in 16 football games, 8 and 7th grade, 8 and 8th grade, 10 of which we hosted and our cheerleaders cheered for. Our volleyball teams, both 7th and 8th, competed in the maximum number of games also. 16 games plus a tournament at the end of the season. So I was real happy that despite many reschedules, we were able to make that happen. Winter sports are not off to the same start. We're, again, reflecting off what Rob said earlier, hopefully we will move off of purple and be able to resume how we started at the beginning of the year.
Great, thank you, Mr. Keppel. Just a few things I want to spotlight before we finish tonight. We also have a Mary Madison program at the middle school in which we pick a family in each one of our 4 grades, family in 5th, family in 6th, family in 7th, and then also in 8th. And again, this is just an example of the wonderful things and the commitments that our staff makes and what they put together. And this was started a couple of years ago, and we call it a Mary Madison Middle School Paint Night. And what it is they get together and they go ahead and they paint, and there's somebody there who kind of leads what they do, and basically they pay registration with an additional opportunity to create a donation for that takes care of supplies. And special thanks, to Renee Neron down here, as she supplied the facility at the golf course that she's a part of. And in addition to donations from staff and local churches, we were just in one night able to raise over $600. So as you can see, we have many of our staff, and this has grown actually into kind of a district event, and that you'll see in this picture, there's staff from other buildings too. So this is a tradition that we've started in the last few years and has really taken off, and we're real happy to be able to raise money to be able to serve those families. And again, there's a lot of work that goes into this, and also after this, the shopping has to be done and the wrapping has to be done, and calls to families and find out what it is they need. So again, we've got a very thoughtful staff that thinks very thoughtfully of our students and what the needs are. Also, a media spotlight here, with remote learning, our teachers have done a great job. Fox 8 News they have a piece where they feature different remote learning situations going on, and this was submitted to Fox 8 News and was shown on their website as well as on their channel. And this is Miss Colella here, one of our teachers, and she's providing some remote learning to a student named Evan. And so this was something that was shared. The parent, who's very happy with what Miss Colella has been doing with Evan, shared this with Fox 8 News and was spotlighted on Fox 8 News. So it was good publicity for the middle school, and also, of course, good publicity for us at Madison local schools. We have some different student activities, and even though, with COVID going on, we couldn't bring veterans in. However, we still took the time to make sure we recognize them. One of the things that our history club did is put military flags that represent each service around our main flag out in front. And I ran out one day and saw the sun setting and thought this would be a great picture to take and show that as we begin to end our presentation here, the sun sets, and the sun had a beam of light that just hit the American flag only. So the American flag was glowing and all these flags around it. But we always get compliments every year when we go ahead and do that, as far as people appreciating that we recognize the services. And those flags stay up for the whole week of Veterans Day. So we are happy to continue doing that. These are the different ways that we communicate and provide communication to our local community. Communication is real important to us. We're very consistent at making sure a newsletter goes home, that there's remind messages that go out. And this year, we also have established a new Facebook account as part of the middle school. And Mr. Perlow is very savvy with Facebook and has created a great presentation for those who subscribe to our Facebook account. And I'm going to have Mr. Turlow talk a little bit about that.
Just looking for another way to engage the community. We have a Twitter account as well. Twitter, I know, is not quite as followed as Facebook. So Twitter, we have 113 followers. And as of right now on Facebook, we have 447 people following our page. I'm looking to get some pictures of students doing some of the great things we do within the middle school. Once we have them back in session, we had Mr. Keppel was our sports photographer and was able to get some pictures at one of the girls' basketball games. And it's just a great another way to celebrate the kids and what they're doing and the amazing things that they do throughout the day.
Great. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Turlow. Again, communication is real important to us. And if anything, as you see some of these new things we put in, we believe our philosophy at the middle school is that we have to find out, and we constantly reflect on what we can do better to support students and support community and parents, and support staff too, of course. So, we're always striving to get better at what we do, but at the same time, we're proud of what we do. We're proud of the product. We've got a great staff that's very professional in their approach, and we continue to develop that every day and every school year. With that, Mr. President, if there's any questions I can answer, otherwise our presentation is finished for this evening.
Very good presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. Okay, moving on. We have no donations, so treasurer's report. May I have a motion to accept the report?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Robin, is there anything you want to share? I see the audit information there.
No, that was for you to sign. It's just the financial report and the appropriate. We should get the audit report by the end of the month, but I'm foreseeing no problems. But I will give it to all 5 of you when it comes in.
Okay. And I think we have a committee that you probably need to meet with for that too. The
When we get the report, yeah, I will.
So we need to organize that. Okay, thank you for that. We need a roll call.
Okay, Mrs. McGinney?
4. 4.
Mrs. Melissa Walker?
4.
Mr. Mosier? Ms. Amy Walker?
4.
4.
Mr. Wigton?
4. Okay, next is item L, matters related to personnel. I need a motion to accept those.
So moved.
Any second, please?
Second,
Second. Go ahead, Jane.
whoever, doesn't matter.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Melissa Walker? 4. Mrs. McGinney?
4,
Mr. Mosier?
4.
Ms. Amy Walker?
4.
And Mr. Wigton?
4. Next is item M, the superintendent's business. I need a motion to accept those.
So moved.
Second,
second,
discussion.
Couple of items I'd like to highlight under superintendent's business. Number one there, I'd just like to publicly thank the Richland County Foundation for their support in the time of COVID with their rapid response initiative, which will assist us in paying for our final forms and the additional nurse support that we've needed this year due to the pandemic. Also would like to highlight number 4, adopting the new grading scale, which will be effective the second semester. And just really wanted to provide our students with a more appropriate grading scale. As we did some research on grading scales around the area, what we found was we were the only district in the area with a grading scale similar to ours. And this one puts us more in line with everybody else in the area. And, you know, we had a situation last year at the high school with end of course exams where we weren't able to administer those. Therefore, students weren't able to meet the standard through the testing, and legislation came through that allowed students to meet that standard through their grade in the course. And with our grading scale requiring higher percentages for each grade level, specifically to get a C, some of our students were at a disadvantage statewide because our grading scale was at a higher level than most, especially in this area. So we believe this is an appropriate move and will benefit our students while at the same time still requiring them to perform at a high level.
Okay, anything else? Roll call, please.
Ms. Amy Walker?
4.
Mrs. McGinney?
4,
Mrs. Melissa Walker? 4. Mr. Mosier?
4.
And Mr. Wigton?
4. Next, we have visitors' comments. All right, I don't see anybody waving at me. Next is president's business. We need to plan our organizational meeting. If we go back and look at past dates, it would fall on that first Wednesday in January. We have to have the organizational meeting by the 15th of the month. So we are looking at January 6th, Wednesday evening, and that would be at 6 o'clock. I'm not sure if we're going to do that remotely or if we will do that in person. We will let you know how that works out.
I'm supposed to have a meeting on January 6th at 6 o'clock.
Okay, I am not available after the 6th the rest of that week. Could we do Tuesday the 5th?
Or if we can do earlier on the 6th, I mean, if that would work for anybody, we could do it at 5 instead. I don't know, usually that one doesn't take too long.
Correct. I'm good with doing it earlier. Maybe 4:30 would be a better time.
And I'm able to do that if everybody else is.
Would that work for you, Doug and Amy?
Yes.
I'll have to check and get back with you. The 5th would not,
I'm sorry?
I said the 5th would not work for me.
Okay.
So the 6th would probably be best. I just got to check.
Okay. Well, as of right now, we will anticipate 4:30 on the 6th.
Okay.
And the next regular Board of Education meeting will assume is going to be the last Wednesday of January, but we will announce that at the organizational meeting for certain. At this time, we need to pick President Pro Tem for the organizational meeting. We need a nomination of someone.
I'll nominate Mr. Wigton.
Do we have a second for that nomination?
I second it.
Oh,
Is there anybody else dying to do that job? Okay, well, I will gladly accept doing that if we vote on it here. Roll call, please.
Ms. Amy Walker,
Yes.
Mrs. McGinney,
Yes.
Mr. Mosier,
4.
Mrs. Melissa Walker,
4.
and Mr. Wigton.
4. Okay, I think that concludes all of our business for tonight. I need a motion to adjourn our meeting.
So moved.
I'll
And I
second.
second. Oh.
Any
Okay, who's
discussion?
motioning? Melissa Walker?
No, Jane motioned and Amy or I, either one second.
Okay. Mrs. McGinney,
4.
Ms. Amy Walker,
4.
Mrs. Melissa Walker,
4.
Mr. Mosier,
4.
and Mr. Wigton.
4. I'd like to thank everyone who logged in tonight to join us, and that concludes our meeting.
Hi, everyone. Have a good night.
Hi, Merry Christmas.
Bye.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to everyone.